That sound. The gentle clink of a porcelain cup on a saucer. For most people, it's the sound of a morning ritual. For me, it was the sound of a trap being set. By my own husband. I was sitting at my sister-in-law's dining table, a beautiful, polished slab of wood that felt as cold as the smile on my husband's face. He pushed the cup toward me. The steam rising from it smelled wrong. Metallic. Chemical. And in that moment, I knew. This wasn't just another attempt to make me sick. This was different. And if I was going to survive, I had to make a choice. Drink the coffee he made especially for me, or turn their own weapon against them. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever felt that cold, sinking feeling of betrayal, if you've ever been underestimated and dreamed of the day your tormentors got exactly what they deserved, then you are in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like button if you're ready for a story of psychological warfare, survival, and a revenge so perfect, it was served in a coffee cup. This is the story of how I discovered my husband and his sister were slowly poisoning me, and how I turned their deadly plan into a life sentence. My name is Victoria. Or at least, it is for this story. At 29, I thought I had it all. A thriving career in marketing, a charming husband named William, and a seemingly supportive sister-in-law, Sarah. We'd all live in Nashville, and these monthly family brunches at Sarah's pristine, picture-perfect home were a ritual. But the picture was a lie. The frame was cracked. It started small. A sudden, violent illness after a dinner party. A mysterious rash after using a lotion Sarah insisted I try. You must have a sensitive stomach, William would say, his voice dripping with fake concern. Must be something you picked up at the office, Sarah would echo, her eyes never quite meeting mine. I felt like I was going insane. The world saw a successful, capable woman. But at home, I was being gaslit into believing I was fragile, sickly, unreliable. The worst was 2 months ago. After a simple breakfast at their house, I ended up in the emergency room. My body was racked with tremors. Doctors were baffled. They found traces of an unknown substance but couldn't pinpoint it. William, the doting husband, was right there, telling them she must have taken some of her old medication by mistake. He sold the performance so well, even I started to doubt my own reality. But the human mind can only be pushed so far. The seed of suspicion, once planted, grows in the dark. I started noticing things. The whispered conversations between William and Sarah that would cut off the second I walked into a room. The way William's phone, which used to be an open book, was now always face down, password protected. And the time I'd seen him coming out of Sarah's house late at night, claiming they were planning a surprise for our anniversary. The surprise, I was beginning to understand, was for me. And it wasn't a vacation. My breaking point was the tea incident last month. 1 cup of tea at Sarah's, and I was back in urgent care. The doctors, again, had no explanation. And Sarah, with that innocent, wide-eyed look, insisted she'd made it exactly the same way she made her own. But her cup was always empty when I left the room. That's when I stopped being a victim and started being a detective. I began a secret log on my phone, dates, symptoms, what I'd eaten, who was there. The pattern was undeniable. Every single mystery illness happened after I'd consumed something William or Sarah had given me. I started carrying a second phone, a tiny burner, always recording in my pocket when I was around them. I was building a case against my own family, and the evidence was a portrait of pure malice. Which brings us back to that brunch. The air in Sarah's dining room was thick with unspoken threats. Sunlight streamed through the bay windows, glinting off the silverware, making the whole scene look deceptively peaceful. And then William placed the cup in front of me. "Don't you want to try the coffee I made especially for you, honey?" His smile was a dead thing. It didn't reach his eyes, which were watching me with a cold, clinical intensity. The smell hit me first, bitter, with that same underlying metallic tang that had haunted my hospital visits. My stomach clenched, a primal warning. Sarah watched from across the table, absently stirring her own untouched coffee. "William has become quite the barista lately," she said, a smirk playing on her lips. "He's been practicing different brewing methods. Just for you." The way she emphasized those last 3 words was a confession in itself. It was a taunt. "We're doing this right in front of you, and you're too weak to stop us." My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs. This was it. The culmination of months of fear and pain. I could play the victim, refuse to drink it, and let them spin another story about my paranoia. Or I could fight back. I lifted the cup, my hand remarkably steady despite the storm inside me. I pretended to take a sip, the rim never touching my lips. As I did, I studied their faces. William leaned forward, ever so slightly. Sarah's knuckles were white where she gripped her spoon. They were waiting. Hopeful. A plan, cold and clear, crystallized in my mind. I made a show of checking my phone, gasping softly. "Oh, would you look at that," I said, standing up abruptly. "I need to make a quick call for work." "Sarah, would you mind if I used your study?" As I walked past her chair, I deliberately stumbled, my hip bumping the table. The cups rattled. "I'm so sorry," I exclaimed, my hands flying out to steady myself. In that split second of chaos, my fingers moved with a life of their own. A quick, fluid motion, and the cups were switched. Sarah's pristine, untouched coffee was now in front of me. My deadly, offered cup was now in front of her. "I'm such a klutz sometimes," I breathed, straightening up. Sarah waved me off with a tight, irritated smile. "Just try not to break anything in the study." I nodded and hurried away, my blood roaring in my ears. I didn't go to the study. I stood just inside the hallway, hidden by the doorframe, and I watched. And I waited. My phone was in my hand, recording. I needed to hear it. I needed proof. I watched Sarah lift the cup. My cup. She took a long, casual sip. For a moment, nothing happened. My heart sank. Had I imagined it all? Was I truly just a paranoid, sickly woman? Then, I saw it. A slight tremor in her hand. She set the cup down, her face suddenly pale. "William," she said, her voice thin, reedy. "Something's wrong." William looked up from his phone, annoyed at first. Then his eyes darted to the cup in front of her. To my cup. The color drained from his face as understanding dawned. He jumped up, his chair screeching backwards. "Sarah. What's happening?" "I don't. I feel," her words slurred. Her hands were trembling violently now. She tried to stand but stumbled, grabbing the edge of the table for support. Her eyes, wide with a terror I knew all too well, locked onto William. "William. What did you put in that coffee?" I stepped out of the shadows, my phone held steady, recording every glorious second. William was beside her now, his face a mask of panic. "That wasn't supposed to be your cup," he whispered, but his whisper was a scream in the silent room. Sarah's eyes widened with a horrifying realization. The fear in them was replaced by a blazing, betrayed fury. She knew. She knew he had been willing to let her drink it. "Call an ambulance," she gasped, sliding to the floor. "Please, I can't breathe." My hands were perfectly steady as I dialed 911. "Yes, we need an ambulance at 1542 Maple Grove Drive," I said, my voice clear and calm. My sister-in-law appears to be having a severe reaction to something in her coffee. I made sure to say the words in her coffee for the recording. As I spoke to the dispatcher, the dam broke. The years of manipulation, the poison, the lies, it all came pouring out of them. Victoria, you switched them. You knew. Sarah gasped from the floor. Shut up, Sarah. William hissed, frantic. Shut up, she spat, her body convulsing with tremors and rage. This is all your fault. You said it would just make her sick enough to miss the board meeting next week. You promised it wouldn't be traced. The board meeting. The Henderson account. A multi-million-dollar client I was presenting to. The same client Sarah, at her competing firm, had been desperate to steal. It all clicked into place with the sharp, final sound of a lock turning. The tea last month, I said, my voice cutting through their panic. And the breakfast incident. Those weren't accidents. Were they? Sarah, in her agony and anger, confessed everything. The tea was supposed to keep you home during the Johnson contract presentation. But you went anyway. William said, he said we just needed to discredit you, make clients think you were unreliable. The sound of sirens filled the air. I looked at William, my husband, the man who had vowed to protect me. His carefully constructed world was crumbling around him, and all I felt was a cold, clean emptiness. As the paramedics burst in, I leaned down close to him, my voice a low, steady promise. I'll ride with her to the hospital. After all, I need to make sure my sister-in-law gets the proper treatment. I met his terrified gaze. And I'm sure the doctors will be very interested in knowing exactly what was in that coffee. At the hospital, with my recorded confession and the text messages I'd forwarded from William's phone, it was over for them. The doctor confirmed they found a potent, illegally obtained pharmaceutical compound in Sarah's system, the same substance found in my previous blood tests. Detective Mendoza, a sharp, no-nonsense investigator, took my detailed log and my secret recordings. William, in a pathetic attempt to save himself, tried to claim it was all to make me slow down, that they were just trying to help me. The detective didn't buy it. I'll never forget her words. That's not protection, Mr. Bennett. That's attempted murder. The trial was a formality. The evidence was overwhelming, the stolen toxins from a pharmaceutical company where William had a contact, their detailed notes on dosages and my reactions, their own recorded voices plotting my downfall. They were both found guilty on multiple counts, including attempted murder and conspiracy. The judge cited the premeditated, systematic, and cruel nature of their crimes as he handed down the maximum sentence. Sometimes, in my quiet moments, I think about that coffee cup. A simple object that became a symbol of both my oppression and my liberation. I didn't just switch the cups that day, I switched the trajectory of my entire life. I learned that the most dangerous poison wasn't the one they put in my drink, it was the poison of their jealousy and greed, slowly dripping into our relationships. And the most powerful revenge wasn't about hatred or violence. It was about clarity. It was about gathering the truth, trusting your instincts when everyone tells you not to, and having the courage to act when the moment comes. They tried to break me, to make me small and sick and silent. But in the end, the only thing they succeeded in poisoning was their own futures. If this story of quiet strength and ultimate payback gave you chills, then do me a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe for more tales of epic justice, and let me know in the comments, what's the most satisfying, they had it coming moment you've ever witnessed. Until next time, remember, sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply living well. But switching the coffee cup, that's a close second.